one of the things that Deedat says is he says, where in the Bible does Jesus say that he's God? I mean, because if this is something so important that humans, uh, just salvation is so important that why didn't Jesus just come out and say this plainly?
No, Jesus should have said, like in the Old Testament, where Yahweh says, I am God, there's no other. So that's the argument. But now, very easy. That's too easy. First of all, I'm going to answer your question, but then I want to turn it against Deedat. Since the New Testament doesn't teach there's only one person who's God. That's why we're Trinitarian, because the Bible forced us to that position. For Jesus to come up to a first century audience, Jews, and he said, I am God, without qualification, that would have miscommunicated, because they would have assumed that he's claiming to be the Father in heaven. But he's not the Father in heaven. So what is the best way for Jesus to communicate to his audience that they'll get the point, I'm not the Father, but I'm God in the flesh? To say I am God without qualification, that would miscommunicate. It's just like today when Muslims tell me, well, if he is God, was he praying to himself? See, that means they don't get how I'm using the term God. The term God can be used as identity, which we use it for the Father, or it can refer to a person's nature. So what did Jesus do? He spoke in a way that they got it. I'm not the Father, but I'm God in the flesh. And that's why if you read the Gospels, they even condemn him saying, you, a man, make yourself out to be God. Why? Because they knew, wait, you didn't claim to be the Father, but you just said you're the Son of God in such a way that makes you equal to the Father. Therefore, you're claiming to be God, but we can't accept it because you're a man. So there would be no better way for Jesus to have said he's God than the way he said it, so his audience wouldn't misunderstand him. And I can give you verse after verse after verse. And I'll give you some examples. But now, if Deedat was standing in front of me, I'm going to say, so Jesus has to say, I am God in those words for you to accept it. Well, I will now take Shahada. And Omar can chime in. You show me in your Quran. Now notice, I'm going to use your argument. I will take Shahada. If you show me in the Quran where the Quran has Isa saying, I am the Messiah.
Okay, that's different to Jesus claiming to be
No,
God, though.
don't
If you
you
could stick on that one
answer it
first,
or don't
then I
tap
can be.
dance? Either answer it or don't tap dance, because I'm not interested in your tap dance. I want the
No, no,
verse.
it doesn't say that. He doesn't
Doesn't
say
say
that. He
that.
doesn't say
All
that
right,
I am the Messiah.
okay, well, secondly, take it easy. Can you show me where Isa says, I am the word of Allah sent down to Mary? Does that Surah An-Nisa 4171, where Allah says, Isa ibn Maryam, kalimatuhu alqaha illa Maryam. The Messiah is his word, which he sent down to Mary. So I want you now to show me where Isa says, I am the word of Allah sent down to Mary.
It doesn't say that verbatim, but my question to you is, why would it have to say that? Why would Jesus
That's
have to
my
say that?
question to you. Why does Jesus have to say, I am God, if God the Father says he's God and the creator, and that should be sufficient for me?
God
No,
the Father says that Jesus is God?
Hebrews 1, 8-12, yes.
That
Open it
Jesus
up
is
for him.
God?
Yes, the Father says to the Son, your throne, O God, is forever and ever. And then he says to the Son, you're the Lord who created heaven and earth. He's going to read it for you.
But of the Son, he says, your throne, O God, is forever and ever.
Now, Lewis, did you catch it? But of the Son, he says. Do we need to show you who's the one speaking?
But of the Son, he says, your throne, O
Yeah, but you
God,
know who
is
the he
forever and
is?
ever.
You know who the he is?
No, I don't.
Show him from Hebrews 1:5, so you can see and read.
For to which of the angels did God ever say, you are my son, today I've begotten you? Or again, I will be to him a father, and he shall be to me a son. And again, when he brings the firstborn into the world, he says, let all God's angels worship him.
Lewis, did you catch that? Who's speaking? Who's telling the angels to worship who? Before we move on?
They're saying to worship the Son.
So who's saying that, though?
Well, this would be God Almighty speaking, right?
Oh, wait. So just like you believe the Quran is Allah's speech, Allah tells you Jesus Messiah is good enough for you. Well, God the Father tells me Jesus is Son, all angels must worship him, and calls him God and Creator. Now continue. Read.
Of the angels, he says, he makes his angels winds and his ministers a flame of fire. But of the Son, he says, your throne, O God, is forever and ever.
Who's
The
speaking now,
scepter-
Lewis? Hold on, bro. Take it easy. I know you want to get married. Hold on. Who's speaking now, Lewis?
This is God speaking, right?
And what did he
Yep.
call Jesus?
He said, "Your throne, O God, is
So the
forever and
Father
ever."
called Jesus in Greek, it's O Theos, the God.
What is it in Arabic?
Ya
O
Allah,
Theos.
Ya
O
Allah.
Theos.
in
But in
Arabic.
Arabic, they translated it, Ya Allah. But now finish it. Look what else the Father says about the Son.
The scepter of uprightness is the scepter of your kingdom. You have loved righteousness and hated wickedness. Therefore, God, your God, has anointed you with the oil of gladness beyond your companions. And you, Lord,
Oh,
laid the
who's speaking again? Who's now saying, You, Lord, who's speaking?
still the Father.
This is still
Are you Lewis, buddy? Let Lewis answer, man.
Oh, my God.
The Father, right?
I'm just
Yes,
so
sir.
excited.
And who's he speaking to? Lewis?
He's. I'm not sure who he's speaking to here. He's saying,
Start at 8. To the
Yeah.
Son. Show me.
"Oh,
That's what I want.
he's speaking directly to the Son." Okay.
Okay,
right.
wait. So you just acknowledge, not that you believe it. Go back. The Father just said to the Son, You, Lord, you, Son, are the Lord. And then look what he says about him.
You, Lord, laid the foundation of the earth in the beginning, and the heavens are the work of your hands. They will perish, but you remain. They will all wear out like a garment. Like a robe, you will roll them up. Like a garment, they will be changed. But you are the same, and your years will have no end.
So God the Father just said to the Son, You are the Lord, the Rab, that created the heavens and the earth. You control them, you change them, and you're unlike them. You remain the same, and you're the God who rules forever, and you're my Son, and all angels must worship you. Good enough for me. My question to you, Lewis, is just like you would say of me, it's not fair to insist that I have to show you, Christian, from my Quran where Isa says these words in the exact way. We accept the Quran, whatever it says about Isa, because that's Allah speaking, then I return the favor. It's not fair for you to insist to me that Jesus has to speak a certain way in my Bible for it to be true, because I believe my Bible, inspired by God, and God is telling me, the Father's telling me that Jesus is God, the Lord, the Creator, Sustainer, who doesn't change. So it should be good enough for me.
So, because of that verse, Sam, is that the verse that brought you to believe that Jesus is divine?
The whole entire Bible brought me to believe Jesus. That's what.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you'll notice like the way that the Psalms are treated in that section of Hebrews 1 and the other places that the New Testament cites the Psalms, even Jesus himself, like for example, when he cites Psalm 110, it sets a pattern for how we interpret the rest of the Psalms. So in other words, the rest of the text, the Torah, the prophets, the Psalms, the writings, they become also gospel texts for us. This is something that I think people don't understand, especially from Islam. They don't understand that the Trinity is in the Torah. The Trinity is in Isaiah. The Trinity is in Ezekiel. These are passages that show us multiplicity in God at that time. So we're not inventing these things. These are in the text. The New Testament just backs this up and further confirms it.
So let me add one more example. You hear what he said, right? The entirety of the Bible leads us to worship the Trinity and that Jesus is God in the flesh, not just one or two, entirety. But I'm going to add on one more example of Jesus in our Bible identifying himself God without having to use exact words. I'm saying my Bible. You may not believe Jesus said it, but here's some of the arguments that even from a Muslim perspective, it's clear that Jesus claimed to be God. For example, in chapter 57, verse 3 of the Quran, Surah Al-Hadid, we are told he is the first and the last. Allah, Al-Awwal wal-Akhir, right? Al-Awwal wal-Akhir, chapter 57, verse 3, Surah Al-Hadid. It's there. It says he's the inward, the outward, first and last, and he knows all things. Do you see it on your own Quran, Lewis?
I've seen this before. I've read this verse before.
Okay, so you see Allah's the first and last. Now, no creature can say he's the first or the last, because first means he was there from the beginning. The first act of creation. He'll be there till the very end. And Allah or God can say that because God was there before creation, continues to be, and never ceases. So only God can say this. That's why no prophet says it. Neither in the Old Testament or in the Quran. You'll never find a prophet saying, I'm the first and last. So now I'm going to read something to you. You don't bring it up. Don't bring it up, God. I'm just going to read it. The Quran says Allah is the first and the last. Now, I'm going to read to you Revelation 1:17. It says, when I saw him, I fell at his feet as dead. And he said to me, do not be afraid. I am the first and the last. So the one speaking says, I am the first and last. According to the Quran, who's the first and the last?
It would be God.
So here, the speaker, maybe you probably don't believe it's inspired. That's okay. But at least the author is claiming the one speaking to me says I'm the first and last. Now, who would that be?
You're saying that Jesus claimed to be God by saying he was the
Well,
first
in
and last
Revelation 1,
in Revelations.
well, I didn't get there yet. What I'm saying is if Allah or God is the first and the last, and the speaker says, the one speaking to me, he says, I'm the first and last. That means the speaker is claiming that the first and last speaking to him, who would that be? The first and last, according to the Quran.
It would be Allah.
But then it says in Revelation 1:17-18, when I saw him, I fell at his feet as dead, and he placed his right hand upon me and said, do not be afraid. I'm the first and last, the living one who died. And behold, I came to life. I live forevermore, and I hold the keys of death and Hades. So when did Allah die?
He doesn't die.
But that's, you just said the first and last is Allah. And that person said, I'm the first and the last. I died, and I live forevermore. Well, we know Jesus died and came to life. So how dare Jesus claim to be the first and last?
Gosh, I mean, I would have to go into this whole thing with Paul and
It's not Paul, it's John.
You're saying this is in John?
Revelation 1:17-18 is John.
Okay,
But
okay.
be that as it may, your Quran confirms that Paul must be a true apostle or Islam is false.
Or Islam is false. I mean, if you judge the Quran based on what is in the Bible, then I see your point.
No, I'm judging the Quran by its promise to Allah's disciples. Chapter 3, verse 55, 61:14, and what Islamic scholars said about those passages. 3:55, Allah promised Isa, he goes, Isa, I will cause you to die and then raise you to myself, and I'll make those who believe in you uppermost, superior to those who disbelieve, till the day of resurrection. 3:55.
And I think the way that the Muslims interpret that is his message. You know,
no, because I'm going to show you how the Muslims interpret it. Qurtubi and Ibn Ishaq said that the true followers of Jesus dominated and were given victory to spread the message. But even we go with that. Let's go with your interpretation. The message triumphed, right? But 3:55 says his message will triumph till the day of resurrection. So then if Paul corrupted the message, that means the message got hijacked, Allah failed. So you're still stuck. Where's the message?
I see what you're saying. I understand. Sam, you are a book of knowledge. I mean,
well, let me get you
I
this
wish
one.
I wish I was as fast as thinker and as knowledgeable on you on both religions.
All glory to Jesus. That's the true God who gives us his gifts so that people like you will find him and enjoy him and live forever.